Enough. From today, you're on your own. My father's voice wasn't loud. It was worse. It was final. We were all in the living room. My mother sat stiffly on the edge of the couch, disappointment written all over her face. And my sister, Ariba, was crying softly, eyes red, hands trembling just enough to look believable. He told people, she said between tears. He ruined my reputation. I stood there, straight, calm. The truth, I hadn't told anyone anything. She had made a mistake, one she didn't want to face, and blaming me was easier than admitting it. But emotions move faster than facts. My mother looked at me like I was a stranger. We didn't raise you to be like this. My father folded his arms. Do you have anything to say for yourself? I did. I could have shown messages, call logs, proof. I could have dismantled the entire story in 5 minutes, but something in their faces stopped me. They weren't looking for truth. They were looking for confirmation. I didn't do what she's accusing me of. I said, quietly. Ariba's crying grew louder. See, he doesn't even feel guilty. That was the moment I understood something important. When trust is already gone, evidence doesn't matter. My father exhaled sharply. Starting tomorrow, you handle your own expenses. If you want to stay here, you act like family. Otherwise, he didn't finish the sentence. He didn't need to. They thought I was jealous, bitter, threatened by my own sister. I wasn't angry. I wasn't even hurt in the way they expected. I was observing how quickly loyalty shifts when emotion takes over, how noise drowns out logic, how the loudest person in the room often controls the narrative. Fine, I said, just one word. My mother stared at me. That's it? You have nothing else to say? I gave a small, controlled smile. When the time comes, the truth will handle itself. They mistook that smile for arrogance. I went to my room, took out a duffel bag, folded my clothes neatly, packed my laptop, my documents. No rushed movements, no slammed doors. When I walked back through the living room, they were sitting together, united, against me. I paused at the door for half a second, not to hesitate, but to understand. Sometimes being pushed out isn't rejection. It's redirection. I stepped outside without another word. They thought they had cut me off. They had no idea they had just set me free. 5 years is a long time, long enough for anger to cool, long enough for excuses to expire, long enough to become someone unrecognizable. The first year after I left was survival. I worked 2 jobs, shared a cramped apartment with strangers, ate cheap food, slept less than I should have. No one knew how hard it was, and I didn't tell anyone, because this wasn't about proving them wrong. It was about proving myself capable. While everyone else scrolled and complained, I studied certifications, late-night courses, skills that didn't look impressive at family gatherings, but paid well in the real world. Year 2, I moved into a better place. Year 3, I wasn't just earning, I was saving. Year 4, I started investing. By year 5, I wasn't surviving anymore. I was stable, strategic, quietly ahead. Meanwhile, through distant relatives and accidental updates, I'd hear things. Ariba's marriage had been rushed. There were financial problems, arguments, tension, pressure. My parents were aging faster than I remembered. Stress does that. Sometimes my phone would light up with a missed call from home. The first time it happened, I stared at the screen for a long moment. I didn't answer, not out of revenge, out of clarity. Rebuilding trust requires truth, and truth requires accountability. Until that happened, distance was necessary. I wasn't bitter anymore. I had outgrown bitterness, but I had also outgrown the version of me that begged to be understood. They were still discussing who was right. I was focused on becoming undeniable, Then one night at 2:17 a.m., my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost ignored it. Almost. Hello. Panic on the other end. It's about Ariba. She's in the ER. It's serious. Your parents are here. They need help. For a second, everything went quiet inside me. No anger. No satisfaction. No, I told you so. Just stillness. Life has a strange sense of timing. 5 years ago, I had been declared the problem. Tonight, I was the only one they could call. I grabbed my keys and left, not to prove anything, not to reclaim a position, but because when character is real, it doesn't disappear just because you were misunderstood. As I drove toward the hospital, one thought stayed with me. They believed the story that removed me from the family. Now reality was about to introduce a new one, and this time I wouldn't need to say a word. By the time I reached the hospital, the hallway outside the ER was quiet. My parents were sitting side by side. They looked smaller than I remembered, worried, exhausted, humbled. When they saw me, there was a pause. Not awkward, just heavy. The doctor stepped out. We need immediate approval and financial clearance for the procedure. Silence. 5 years ago, I was told to handle my own expenses. Tonight, they couldn't handle this one. My father slowly looked at me, not with pride, not with authority, with hope. I'll take care of it, I said. No drama, no reminders, no conditions, just facts. I signed the papers. The surgery was successful. Hours later, when everything had settled, my mother approached me first. Her voice was softer than I had ever heard it. We were wrong. No excuses, no explanations, just that. My father added quietly, we should have listened. I didn't interrupt them. I didn't rush to forgive either. I never wanted to be right. I said calmly, I just wanted to be trusted. Ariba, pale but conscious, looked at me with tears in her eyes. I'm sorry. For the first time in 5 years, it sounded real. I nodded. Next time, choose truth. It costs less. There was no celebration, no dramatic reunion, just understanding. And understanding is heavier than anger. When I walked out of that hospital, no one was cutting me off. No one was dismissing me. The power dynamic had shifted, not because I forced it, but because time revealed it. They thought I was weak because I stayed quiet. They didn't know I was simply busy becoming strong. A few weeks later, things felt different. Not dramatic, not magically repaired, just real. My parents started calling, not to control, not to question, but to talk. Slowly, carefully, like people learning a new language. Ariba changed too, less defensive, more honest. Accountability humbles you in ways arguments never can. One evening, my father said something I never expected. You didn't come back to prove us wrong. You came because it was right. That was the moment I knew the shift was permanent. I didn't move back home. I didn't step back into my old role. I visited by choice, not obligation. Respect feels different when it's earned the hard way. We never fully erased the past. We grew past it because silence, when used correctly, doesn't destroy relationships. It reveals who's strong enough to rebuild them.